for Forrest.
Thank you, Deputy Speaker. And I do want to talk on this MPI as a member of Parliament from a rural and regional electorate. To the young people who are here today, I come from a very small community, but there is no doubt in that community and the ones that I represent, they are very, very affected by cost of living issues. There is no question in rural and regional Australia that that's exactly how it is, and why the increase in interest rates that's put up their mortgages throughout this time of this government have had so much impact. There's also an issue about the food that people are buying and the inflationary impact that that has had. The increasing costs of insurance that we in the regions really have no option but to actually invest in. The increases in costs of electricity and, as we know, housing. And, of course, in my part of the world, as so many other parts of Australia, it's particularly rural and regional, when I hear the members opposite talking about childcare, well, we have the childcare deserts where there isn't any childcare available, and that makes it exceptionally difficult for people who need to go to work and can't. And we've seen, as I said, the increase in interest rates, inflation, the mortgage costs and rents, as we know. And rents have increased by at least 26% over the time that Labor's been in government. And we've seen housing approvals, the starts and approvals at their lowest levels in decades. In my part of the world, I looked at realestate.com and I look at rentals, and good luck trying to find a rental in my part of the world. The vacancy rate in Bunbury, in my Bunbury region, is 0.45%, the nation's lowest vacancy rate for the 7th consecutive month. So if you're coming into my electorate, you'll find it very difficult. But this has been made more difficult by Labor's increases of over 500,000 people it's allowed into this country, when there's only 162,000 new dwellings being built in the same time. So that there's a real imbalance there, which is why, in part, those rental prices are what they are and the scarcity is there. But I just walk down the main street in my communities and I talk to the local people and the local businesses and I listen to them. And when you do that, you find the cost of living is really impacting on my people. It's impacting as well on my small businesses, who are the heart and soul of my electorate. And I've recently, in this last week, went and talked to the car dealers, because they are certainly very concerned about what Labor is proposing with their huge tax on not only the family car but also on our work vehicles, because we depend on those vehicles. We need them in rural and regional Australia. We need them for the job they do for us. That's what we need on our properties and in our businesses, the same as our tradies. They need these vehicles. It's not just an option, it's something we need to get the job done. But Labor wants to make this so much more expensive. I went to one dealer, he employs 70 people, and he is seriously concerned about the types of vehicles that will be allowed to come in the whole fleet requirement that the government will impose. There's another one that's employing 20. Now, that may not be a lot to those on that side, but by gee, in a small community where I am, employing 20 people is a lot of people in work in a small community, and each one of those matters to us. And that's why this proposed tax on our extra tax on family vehicles and on tradies and our working people is such a major issue. And, of course, we've seen that we'll see vehicles that will no longer be imported, which is what the government is intending here, to actually by default, very clever, restrict the sorts of vehicles that will be imported. And the manufacturers who are based internationally will decide what they will import here and what they can actually put on the list for Australia. And, of course, what concerns me is that this push is to push us into buying more vehicles made out of China. Well, that is something that Australia cannot afford to do. But I also note that the government is trying to increase even and dictate even further. The government wants to dictate to us as Australians not only what car you drive, whether it's the family tax or the family ute or family car or ute. They want to control the food you eat, the NHMRC's war on meat. the clothes you wear, with the Minister for Environment wanting to tax our clothes and tell us what clothes we can wear. We've got carbon accounting on Scope 3 emissions. Scope 3 emissions. We've got the increase in national...
Time has expired. I'm sorry. Member for